Juan Pablo Urcad. I'm a professor in the Department of Computer Science at the University of Iowa and the principal investigator for the Story Carnival project. In this video, I'm going to tell you more about StoryCarnival's voice agent and how to use it. So first question is, why do we use a voice agent? I'm talking about our little voice agent mini bird over here. We realized when we were running sessions, play sessions with Story Carnival, that sometimes it was difficult to keep children engaged in the general story that they were playing, and that some kids would have difficulty joining in. They maybe were a little shy and would just kind of be spectators but would not participate and play with their peers. So we tried to think of ways of re-engaging children, and we tried many things. And eventually we thought of the idea of voice agents mainly because they enable children to keep visual contact with their peers, with adults around them, with the items around in the environment. So it doesn't require as much focus on technology as something with a screen would. So we thought that was a nice advantage of voice agents. However, at the same time, we wanted to, we had some concerns about the way voice assistants are designed, so like Google Home or Amazon Alexa, in that we wanted to preserve the privacy of children. We didn't want to be recording audio constantly, sending it to a server, and then having some AI, artificial intelligence system process it and have a response. We wanted to have a privacy-preserving technology and a technology that kept the responsible adults in the room in control. So what the voice agent is really is it is a teleoperated voice agent. Essentially, the adults running the session are the ones who decide what the agent says. All that the Story Carnival software does is that it provides a convenient user interface that provides a lot of suggestions for things that the agent might say that we found useful in our own sessions, and that tend to provide suggestions for moving the story forward or for what to do next in play, and also provide options for quick praise for children and for encouragements of collaboration. So that's what it does. It's a relatively simple user interface, and like I said, it's privacy preserving because it doesn't record anything, it doesn't send any data to a server, and it's fully in control of whichever adult is running the sessions, and the agent is just only as smart as the adult who is operating it. So there is an option for the first 100 places that do, to order a voice agent that will send to you in the mail. If you are have some organization that works with kids, like a preschool in the United States. If you're unable to do that, we do provide instructions for how to make your own mini bird. It's a little bit different. This one, the one that we send out, is made out of like a soft plastic material, and it has a Bluetooth speaker inside. So essentially the Bluetooth speakers that we use are pretty small. This is one kind that we use. And an alternative we provide is that you can make your own mini bird out of cardboard, and we provide plans to do that. And in that case, it would look like this, pretty similar. Our first iteration of mini bird was a lot bigger, also made out of cardboard, and it looked like this. But they all have the Bluetooth speaker inside. They're about the same. You can also make your own case, whichever way you want to make it work. So for practical things with the case, if you get the one that we send out to you, you can actually remove any of the face if you want, but most importantly on the back, there is a charger. Obviously this cable can be removed. That's a charger for the speaker. You can remove this this yellow parts from the top, probably using tweezers would be the smart thing to do, so you can, in case you need to do any charging or connecting or disconnecting of the cable to charge. I would strongly recommend removing the cable before playing with kids. So one thing to make sure is if you're planning to use the MiniBird voice agent, make sure you charge it before you run a session, and make sure that the speaker inside the agent is paired. Remember, this is a Bluetooth speaker. Make sure it's paired with whatever device you're going to be operating with. In our experience, we have an easier time operating it with smartphones, and kids seem not particularly care that we're using smartphones to control the agent while we operate it. So right now I have a smartphone in my hand, and I can make MiniBird say give me a little bit of praise. Let's see.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, MiniBird. So it's pretty simple. It's just a little tap, and in that we're going to show you how to use the voice agent user interface off of the Story Carnival website. Now, what we found is that it tends to work better if we use it on a smartphone. So we typically have found better luck doing stories for a group of kids with something larger, like a tablet or a computer, or even a printed story. And then for controlling the agent, it seems to me more practical to use a smartphone because it frees one hand and it doesn't seem to make children pay as much attention as to what's going on with the smartphone, so it works pretty well. So what we recommend is once you know what story you're going to be using, have your smartphone paired with a Bluetooth speaker ahead of time, and keep in mind that the options for the voice agent are going to be different for each story. So you might want to run through the story ahead of time on the smartphone and have it ready, or just go straight to the voice agent. We will be adding capability to the voice agent so you can switch to the right story at the right time. But in this version, we're going to show you can't do that. The user interface is set up so it works well on a smartphone. I'm going to show it on a larger screen in this case, but it works well in the smartphone. That's why you don't see a lot of use of space on either side, left or right here, because we want you to be able to use that. All right, so what you get here is a set of options that are divided in 3 sections right now. So the first option is if you want kids to replay parts of the story or remind them of things that happen in the story. And what you have here is basically you click on one of this, or you touch one of these in a smartphone, and what you'll see is that something pops up in the box below. And if you keep pressing, you get different options. So that's the neat thing with this. You don't find some text that you think will work, then you can keep pressing that option. It will show you other suggestions, and then you can, when you find one that you like, you click submit, and then the MiniBird will speak through the Bluetooth speaker.
I have been flying for so long that my wings feel sore.
Right, so this is just events to replay what happened in a story. In this case, is for the introductory story. And then what you get is also speech that's directed at a particular character based on their role in the story. And again, with these, you can, if you keep pressing, you'll get different options, right? So it's not just one option. And the idea here is, instead of having you quickly type in text, the easiest way to use this user interface is to just keep pressing until you see something that seems to fit. And that makes it so you can pay more attention to the kids and how they're playing. You can talk to them more easily instead of being distracted putting in text, right? Next row is similar to the previous one, except it tries to expand on the story. So we could look at events of things that did not happen in the story. And in this case, it's to try to encourage kids to be creative and try to continue playing beyond what was presented in the story. And again, there's general events that um, Minibird can announce, or speech directed at specific characters based on their role. Okay. And then finally, we have words of encouragement from Minibird for kids, and we find these are very useful. If kids are actually uh, playing within character and advancing the story, or they make something with blocks, for example, having or they do something, Minibird asks them to do something, and they do something. So you can have words of praise, right? Um, or you can also, the other thing that's often important is to, as we mentioned earlier, to get kids to play together. And then you can ask them, have little bits of text that are about collaborating. Other things that you can do, you can quickly clear text if you want. You can, for any of these, you can add your own text too. So I could say here, I need help. So I added some text.
Can you help? I need help.
See, so Minibird will say whatever you put in there. If you want to go back to some text you previously used, you can also go back and you'll find the prior text that got used. Okay. And then also you have sort of an introduction of Minibird as well. So those are the things that you can do with a voice agent. In the future, things that we're planning to do, hopefully we'll have time to do them. Here for speaker, you could also change it so you could speak as with the voice of the cat, monkey, bear, or horse, the other characters. So in that case, if you wanted to get creative, you could put in different art on the Minibird voice agent, and then have them speak with the voice of one of the other characters too. So that's another option that you have. So in a nutshell, that's how you can use the voice agent through this teleoperation user interface. And again, the key thing, we recommend running it from a smartphone, or alternatively, if for some reason you happen to have two adults available to run a session, one can pay attention to the kids and the other one can just run the voice agent. Okay. So one last thing to clarify about Minibird is, and this might be to some degree up to you, but we have had no problem telling children that we are the ones who are making Minibird speak, and that it's not like a real living thing. I think we had no problems with saying that. It doesn't seem to affect too much, play too much. And essentially, you can think of it as working almost as a puppet, except that it's not connected to your body, and kids can include it in their whatever things they're playing with, and they can hug it and all that. It's a little bit of a different relationship. Yeah, so definitely give it a try. It might also, we think, be useful to communicate with children in alternative ways, in other situations where maybe they don't want to say something, don't want to talk to an adult. It could be a useful communication tool as well. All right, so that's all about our Minibird voice agent, and I hope you get to use it. And let me ask Minibird, did I do a good job, Minibird?
You did such a good job.
All right, thank you, Minibird. All right, thank you.